Hey, welcome to today's episode. Today, I want to answer a question that I've had, which is, how do I launch a new YouTube demand gen campaign if it's a new account? Because this is something I'm actually dealing with right now in an account that I'm consulting on. It's not a brand new one, but it's one that hasn't had a ton of results on it in the last year or two. And since we've transitioned from YouTube ads over to what is now demand gen, a little bit of an answer on that. For the last 2 or 3 years, we've been running just YouTube campaigns. Now, this melding happened in 2025 where you can't just run a YouTube conversion campaign. You have to now use what's called a demand gen campaign, which includes YouTube placements, in-stream, which are the skippable ads that you see when you're watching a video, the shorts placement, the in-feed placement, which is some of the static images and static visuals you can see on the YouTube home screen, as well as recommended videos. Sometimes you see an ad, and as well in the YouTube Discover app, and then Google Display Network. And then you can show up on apps unless you exclude those, but a little bit more in a minute on that, okay? So here, this is basically the structure. So if you want more info on this, what I'd recommend is underneath this video, you can join our school group, the Ad Intelligence Collective, if you're interested in getting more information on how we run demand gen, how we create creatives. But this will give you the top level stuff. But if you're looking for full on courses and stuff, they're in that school group that I have on how to run demand gen, 3 or 4 hours of tutorials and stuff like that in it. Anyways, to the point. So there's a couple ways to look at this. Generally speaking, creative rules all, unless we're really niche. Really niche means like we're super business to business and we're only looking for one type of client and it's super small, right? But let's assume that you're doing a business to consumer type offer, and pretty much everyone almost could be your customer. Maybe you're selling golf lessons. Maybe you're a chiropractor. Maybe you are selling information on how to lose weight or anything like that, right? We'll consider these very ubiquitous and broad. So here's how I would structure this. You need to find a winning creative, or at least some sort of winning something or other with your creative, be it like the hook and the intro that gets a good CTR, because maybe your landing page sucks, but that's for another video, right? But the idea here would be that you need to test creatives to find which one wins so that you have a starting point to iterate on them. And I'll talk about this in a second. So here's step one. Build a campaign. If you're starting from scratch and you're not running ads on Meta or TikTok, I'm going to say you start with what's called an in-stream only campaign. So you set up your demand gen campaign. At the ad group level, you tell it, you select where you want the ads to show, and you select only in-stream. These are the skippable ads before you're watching a video on regular YouTube, not shorts. And you're going to put in 2 or 3 or maybe 4 creatives. How do you decide how many? That's going to revolve around how much money you're willing to budget to this campaign and how much it costs to get your result. So let's say you're trying to sell a $27 information product, right? Or you're trying to get a lead for $25 for some type of business. What I'm going to say is set a daily budget of somewhere between, at a minimum, probably $100 or $125, because that's like 4 to 5 times what you're trying to get your result for. More is obviously better, but I know most people don't want to just lose their drawers on testing, right? So back to the question, how many ads do you test at once? I'm going to suggest that if you're at that $100 to $125, $150 level, no more than 3. Put 3 different ads in there. Make sure that the intro bits of them, like the hook, like the first call out and the hook and what they see in the sounds and what's on the screen, is different. Don't make them so similar, because if they are and that idea doesn't work, then you've kind of wasted this test. So give it 3 very different styles that you're going to hit them with. So you might have a talking head right away, like what I'm doing right now. Then you might have a voiceover with some B-roll, and then maybe you've got one that's like a UGC like person or an AI avatar that's talking to the screen. So maybe you try those 3 different ones and you put them in the campaign. If it's really like ubiquitous, really open, what I would recommend is you just run it broad. So maybe narrow by demographics, the age and genders and geography areas of what work for your offer, or you think will work for your offer, but don't try and get fancy with targeting yet in terms of audiences and things. And then let that run for, I'm going to say, until each creative gets like $75 to $100 spend, because that's 3 to 4 times what your target cost per result is. And then look at it. What are you going to look at? Well, you're going to look at the engagement rate. That's if people watch 10 seconds of the first 10 seconds of the video or clicked on your ad. You're going to look at the view rate. That's a 30-second view or a full view through if the video is less than 30 seconds. You're going to look at the CTR, the click-through rate. And then by means of just the next bit is what's your cost per click, right? So if you get no conversions, generally speaking, the one with the higher engagement, better view rate, and better CTR is the one that's probably leading the charge, right? Hopefully you do get some conversions though, because there's still this giant question mark if you don't get any as to will do any of these work, right? Because could it be a landing page issue? Could it be like a congruency issue where the ad's super interesting to them, but when they land on the lander, they're not getting what they need? And this can be a kind of like purgatory for us as marketers when we're trying to run demand gen or YouTube, okay? Now, if you have ads on another platform like TikTok or Meta, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok Reels or something like that, what you can try is you can try these in stream, but what you might find more success with is creating a low budget campaign and testing YouTube Shorts, because generally these social type videos that come off TikTok, Instagram Reels, Facebook stories, even the in-feed stuff on Facebook tend to perform better in Shorts because it's more mimics what they're used to. It's a flick through all these clips in a mindless way. And the type of ads that work in Shorts generally are not the type of ads that work in stream. Every rule has, objections to it, so that's not a perfect situation, but generally speaking, that's what happens. I would follow the same process though. Depending on the amount of budget you've got, and depending on what your cost per result is, your expected cost per result, you want to try and budget somewhere between a minimum of 3, 10x is great, but 3 to 5 times what you think your action is going to be. So let me say this again. You're expecting to get a $20 lead or sale. 5 times that would be $100. That would give your campaign a fair bit of spend over 2 or 3 days to test 2 or 3 creatives, to get each of them to have, $50 to $100 spend to make some educated guesses, okay? A couple of caveats here. You need aggressive patience when you're doing this. You need to set it up, literally write it on a piece of paper. Why am I testing this? What are my expected results? When will I kill the ads or kill the campaign? And then sit on your hands until those things are met. And basically succumb to the fact that you're just going to not throw away the money. Never think of it like this. The money will be, data gathering, analysis, okay? So when you're launching a new demand gen campaign, if it's a new account, that is how I do it. That's how I'd recommend you do it as well. And you need to have some strategy behind it, and that's the best way, okay? Ask your questions below. If you're looking for more mentorship or assistance with your media buying, you're looking at how to integrate AI into this stuff, looking at how to make better ads and scale your ads, more production, check out the Ad Intelligence Collective at the link below. That is our community where we're going over all this stuff, and you've got direct access to me in the group and weekly calls. If you're a business looking for media buying, you're looking for somebody to write your ads, run your ads, check that out. You can apply below, and maybe we can work together, all right? We'll see you in the next episode. Thanks.